Coach Zach here, Silver Bullet Fitness, coming to you out of my office at Anytime Fitness in South Florida. Listen, I want to talk to you today about programming for your clients. Now, if you're anything like me when you first got started in this industry, or if you're curious about getting started, probably the first question you ask yourself is, how am I going to program for my clients? How do I write programs? And listen, I'm going to tell you what they simply will not tell you. I searched all over the place. Plenty of YouTube videos, plenty of guides, plenty of different expertise from what I could find on the internet, and could not find a solid answer. And the truth is, there isn't really a solid answer. Now, I will at the end of this video go through a couple examples of how you can train clients based on what they're looking for, based on their age, based on their gender, all of those things. But in reality, there is something more important about programming than just reps, sets, and weight. And in this video today, I'm going to break that down for you. So let's get started on how to program for your clients. Well, there's some fundamentals and some foundation you have to build first. And the first thing I'd say is always meet the client where they are. This sounds really simple, but I've trained plenty of clients who have been injured by other trainers because they did not meet the client where they were. You know, you've got, let's say, as an example, a 45-year-old man who's fit and in shape. For the most part, he's maybe not necessarily going to the gym every single day, but he's done maybe one day a week, and he's got no current injuries. And you'll have a trainer train that person like he's an 18-year-old or 22-year-old kid, pushing him and pushing him and pushing him, and then winds up getting injured or winds up not being satisfied with the workouts as they're performed. So it's very important that you identify to meet your client where they are. And when you talk to your prospective clients, that's really going to give them the biggest vote of confidence as well for actually choosing you as a trainer. You know, a lot of the times you're on the grand stage in any conversation, and they want to know how you're going to help them. Just like that old saying, you know, use their name, learn their name. Everybody loves to hear the sound of their own name. Use their name. We'll find out where they are as well, and you're going to end up securing more clients and have much better sessions because of that. You know, if you've got a client who's in their 60s, 70s, you can't obviously do the same things with them that you would do with someone who's in their 20s and 30s. And also, they may not want to do those things. You may have clients who are able-bodied and ready, and you can easily drive them to this next level, and sometimes that's not what they're looking for. Sometimes they're just looking for maintenance, and you got to be ready to meet them where they are. All right, super important. Second one is program in reverse. So when you sit down and you start getting ready to program for your clients, program them in reverse. This is what I use every single time. I know what I want them to do. I know where I want them to end up. I know exactly what I want them to do because I'm thinking about how they're going to exist either with me or without me in the long run. And I want to figure out how I'm going to get them the best bang for their buck as far as time, energy, productivity, and exercise, as well as injury prevention. So I like to program in reverse. And when you program in reverse, you're going to quickly learn things about your clients. So just as an example, right? Let's say my goal with my client is to get them into barbell lifting, for instance. Maybe they're a little bit older and maybe they are a runner. And maybe through running they have maybe some light IT band issues, and maybe they don't have a lot of glute activation. And yes, I know getting them under a bar squat isn't always the answer to fix a runner's IT band or other issues with runners. I'm already aware of that, just making this as an example. But maybe I want to get them under a barbell. So maybe I'm planning out the steps, the weeks it's going to take to get them there. And I'm addressing their hip mobility in the first couple of weeks. I'm addressing maybe their knee stability or their motor control or their posterior activation. I'm addressing all of those things for the first 6, 8, maybe even 12 weeks. I'm focusing on quad activation and I'm focusing on tibialis rotation. I'm focusing on all of these things that are going to help me get them to the point of being able to bar squat. That's one way that I like to program, is programming in reverse, because it's going to help lay the foundation of where I'm going, and you can lay that out for the client as well and show them the track that you're going to be putting them on with a positive outcome at the end of it. That's really powerful for getting people to be bought in for long-term training and long-term contracts as well. Having that end goal for them, having that end result for them, that's such a great way to do it, is to program in reverse. And you can do that with all sorts of different things, whether it be a squat, maybe not even barbell. It can be things like pull-ups. It can be things like body weight stuff like push-ups, or it could even be sprint training. You know, you want them to be able to run faster, or you want them to be able to run for longer. And if you identify that goal for them, you can easily start to program in reverse by setting that as the goal and then using the knowledge that you've learned through either your certification, schooling, or from your own experience to get them to that goal. Next thing is going to be an effective consultation. You cannot program without an effective consultation. It's just not really going to, it's not going to do it. You can if you have the able-bodied and the willing person. If you were to train somebody like me, for instance, you wouldn't really need much of a consultation with me to kind of give me a good workout plan, right? Or if you've got a person who's lifting 3-4 times a week, but they're coming to you for just that one extra, you may not need as deep of a consultation, but you should worry, or you should work on effective consulting, and we will have a video on, or I will have a video on showing you that effective consultation. It can be a little challenging when you're digging for answers with people and also trying to sell them something at the same time, because you don't want to be just a reporter gathering information. You also want to be able to show them how you're going to help them reach the next level. But in that effective consultation, you're going to be able to identify things like injuries, past experiences, things they liked about previous trainers. You're going to identify things about what limitations they believe they have or they do have, things that they're afraid of, things that they are excited for. That consultation is the start for effective programming. Once you have that, it makes it a lot easier to start the process with a client and look at that in reverse. I'll give you an example. I trained, years ago, I trained an above-knee amputee. And so our consultation revolved around exactly, am I capable of training this person? What limitations does this person have outside of the exercise they've already done on their own? And so without me being able to do that, I couldn't really program in reverse to find the goal, because if I came in thinking, okay, well, I've seen some stuff online. I've seen some really, really phenomenal athletes who are missing a leg, or or above knee amputee online, who are doing these incredible one-legged deadlifts and these things. And if I just that's what we're gonna do, then it makes it a little difficult to actually get there, when I quickly realize that this client is not necessarily built like that, and we have to focus in different areas. Maybe we have to start with balance first. Maybe we have to start training with the prosthesis on. These things you will find out in a consultation. That's an extreme example, of course, but you'll learn as you're talking to people, as you're getting to know them, and as you're understanding them. It's going to help you program a lot more. And I tell you this because when I first started and I got into it, my fear was, how do I program? I'd read books on training people over 40. I would go down the entire internet rabbit hole. I even started using Show Up Fitness's model, which loved the guys over at Show Up Fitness. And I quickly realized that I'm making these mock plans for people I don't know, and that's a great place to start. But the second I met these people and I met my clients, it changed quickly. It just changed based on what they needed at that time. So effective consultation, listen, actively listen to your client, learn, hear them, and if they present you with something that you're not sure about, do the research. Continue learning is why so many trainers don't succeed in this industry. Regress/progress. that is going to be your tool. That is going to be your hammer to the nail. That is going to be your Swiss Army knife, is regress and progress. So when you go to program a client, using a squat as an example, I want to put squats in all of my programs for my clients. And I'm not just talking about bar squatting, goblet squatting, Zercher squatting, zombie squatting, whatever it is. I want my client to squat. And so if I program in, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to squat, and I want us to do 4 reps of 15 on this weight and this weight, we're going to do these things, and they grab the kettlebell and they go to squat, and all of a sudden they really can't squat the way that I want them to. Okay, all right, no big deal. We work on some form, we work on some cues, we work on getting them the ability to squat the way I want them to, right? Awesome, but still not quite taking just yet, because unfortunately they don't have the posterior activation, they don't have the ankle mobility. They just don't have it at that point. So what should I do in that situation as a personal trainer? Should I just continue trying to beat the horse and beat the dead horse and have them squat? No, we got to regress. We got to regress quickly in that moment too. Okay, hey, listen. All right, hey, instead of using the weight, let's go ahead and grab those TRXs real quick. We're going to use those for some stability. Hey, let's grab a bench. We're going to put a bench behind you. We're going to put a little band around your knees. Just try to get some of those glutes activated. Try to get your motor control right. You got to learn how to regress and progress. And when you do that, it's going to give you lots of confidence to basically tackle any client you have, because you know that you're going to be able to find a solution for them in the moment while still keeping that program in mind. We're still programming in reverse. We still know where we want to go, but I can regress things and I can progress them based on where they are at that moment. And you see, it's all kind of adding together here. Also, there are going to be days when your clients are too tired. They're still sore. They're in pain. And in those days, you don't want to be frozen in the moment going, okay, well, what do I do now? Right? You want to be able to regress the plan for them and still provide them an effective workout. And for the progress side of it, you got to know how to push clients too. And you got to be able to actually evolve their training. And so if they're already succeeding at something and they're really succeeding at it, you got to know how to progress on the fly, test them, give them a little bit more. It's going to keep them engaged. It's also going to help drive forward the point that they are capable. And when you can do regression and progression, the regression really helps because it allows you to talk to any client, any prospective client, and feel confident. And the progress is going to allow you to have even more confidence to speak to the clients who are already very fit, already very in control of their nutrition and their workout plans. The people that you see on the gym floor who look incredible, it's going to give you the confidence to talk to them as well, because they also can use a little extra help here and there. Everybody's looking for that little extra optimization, and being able to progress people and give them progressive exercises and give them progressive rep counts and stimuli and intensity and all these things, that's going to drive home confidence for you. It's really going to help you get real confident in your own programming. That's going to give you that repeatable success formula for your programming. The last thing is plan and adapt, and that's the method right there, is to plan and adapt. It's perfectly great to have mock plans set up, and we're going to go over some of those at the end of this video as well. So if you stayed this far, fantastic. For this long, fantastic. If not, we'll have chapters in there. Just skip to the video, right? But having a plan is great. It's good to get your feet wet and understand an example of how you want to program for a person, but you got to be ready to adapt. That's the key. It's every time you make a plan, all right, I'm going to plan for a 35-year-old mom who just got out, who hasn't worked out in 6 months. I'm going to make sure that I have a plan for her based on the fact that she wants to lose weight and she has no injuries, and that's fantastic. Plan for that. Build a strategy, build a program so you can display it to them, but be ready to adapt. This is what they don't tell you about training, is that your value as a trainer, what really separates you as a trainer, is your ability to adapt as you go and adapt on the fly, because not everything works perfectly. You can have a perfectly well-crafted plan the night before, the week before, the month before, and they come in and you're ready to go, and boy, it's just not happening. And you can freeze, you can panic, you can provide them a less than superb experience, which is not you. I know that's not you. You're always going to provide them the best experience you can. or you can be ready to adapt. That is the key, and you'll learn that as you go, but if you go in with the mindset of being ready to adapt, it's going to give you more confidence. It's going to make you less rigid. It's going to allow you to flow a lot better as a trainer. And it's going to open up your ability to program on the fly and find those little things that are going to unlock the next step for both you and your client. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go over a few really basic programs that I would recommend for, just like I've been talking about, specific age groups, specific demographics. We're going to go over those, and we're also going to kind of look at the context behind those and how I'll build those as well. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some programming. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm going to show you a kind of a brief outline of programming, try to demystify it a little bit for you and give you a little bit more confidence in programming. If you like this sheet, this Google Sheet that I'm using with the drop-down menus for additional exercises, and you like the way it's laid out, there will be a link below to download it and to use it yourself, as well as a video that I'll pin up in the card somewhere kind of outlining why I created this sheet and why it's better than being with a paper and clipboard for the most part. So let's go over some basic programming, and I want to get a few fundamentals out of the way. First and foremost, keep it simple. Understand that a lot of the clients that you work with, especially if you're working in the general population, a lot of the clients that you work with are not going to be seasoned veterans in the gym. And so you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to be fancy with it. You don't have to go all, let me get you this 1% tricep exercise that I saw on TikTok. You don't have to be that way. You want to provide consistency, and you want to show up for your client. Second thing is that it is not, there is right ways and there are wrong ways to program, but the wrong ways to program tend to be more of overloading too fast on your client, driving up intensity, doing exercises that their bodies are not physically able to do, but not making the adjustment in any ways. So if you have a client who can't squat to depth, and you're also not trying to help them squat to death by supplementing with other exercises, and instead you just keep having them do quarter squats, and you're just watching them pump out quarter squats, like that's a wrong way to program. That's a quick way of not getting your client an effective workout and ultimately not doing your client the service that they deserve. But there's not many wrong ways to do it, so I'm trying to demystify that for you so that you don't feel so intimidated by having to have the perfect program. Their bodies and their expectations are going to evolve, as will yours and your continued knowledge as you go through your career as a personal trainer. You may find something as you continue to learn that is an incredible way of doing a specific movement that maybe you didn't know before, and it's perfectly okay to add that in. It's perfectly okay to make the adjustments and to adapt, because that's what's going to happen. But trying to make the perfect program, like you're trying to sell a book or you're trying to sell a program to somebody, is not how it works when you're training one-on-one, okay? You want to build an effective program, but it's never going to be a perfect program. So, as an example, I also want to say, before I go on, I also want to say that there is a few rules to live by. One, random exercises, net random results. It's very important. You want consistency, you want measurable, you want trackable. Very important for your clients. It's going to help navigate through the ambiguity and sometimes the uncertainty in your clients, especially if they stall on progress. And also, there is a difference between being an entertainer and being a trainer. Now, being an entertainer, sometimes you got to do it. There are clients that you're going to have in maintenance who just want you to come in, give them 15 different exercises every single time you see them, and they're just going to talk, and you're going to listen, and you're going to talk back, and you're going to train, and that's perfectly okay too. But if you're trying to build an effective workout for clients, more often than not, you want to limit the variety unless specifically asked by your client to add variety. You want to try to start with a little variety and then taper off into more consistency as their recovery improves and as they get used to being in the gym and they get used to showing up like you're showing up. So that's kind of just some fundamentals. But let's look at like a mom in her 30s. She's a mom of 2. Let's say she does some YouTube yoga, some YouTube Pilates, and she walks a lot. She works a full-time job, so she's on her feet a lot, and she just wants to tone up her glutes, tone up her arms, get rid of some of the baby fat that she has from pregnancy. And so how would I program somebody like that? Well, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to try to program in reverse. And so maybe she indicated to me at some point that her measurement of success is not feeling wiped out all the time. She doesn't want to feel, she knows she's not going to be 19 again, but she wants to, when you give her a kick-ass exercise, she wants to feel like she isn't completely burnt afterwards and that she can't walk afterwards. That's her measurement of success. So knowing that, I want to train her for HIIT. I want to train her for interval work. I want to train her for supersets and circuits. I want to train her for that high intensity, high heart rate work. But I can't just throw her into that right away. Maybe I can, but maybe I'm not quite sure yet. So based on the consultation, based on my understanding of her, let's start by doing something a little bit more simple. So maybe we start with some core work. We get some core work done. We start with some bird dogs, maybe like an aggressive plank, not just lying there and breathing, some shoulder taps, and then maybe we do some banded lateral walks just to get those glutes activated. And maybe I know that she can squat to depth relatively well, but she's not entirely, not ready to put a bunch of load on. So I'm going to put 15 pounds on her. We'll do 15 reps. Keep the reps kind of high. We're not really interested in getting to failure just yet. We're really in kind of the volume phase in an effort to get her body reacclimated to the work. This is kind of what you're going to see a lot. You're going to see general population clients, especially if you're starting off fresh, or even if that's your main demographic. If you're working in a commercial gym, you will get some general population clients. And a lot of the times your goal is to get the things activated that need to be activated, work on the body parts and the movement patterns that need the most help, like a squat, a push, a pull. And then from there, it's about adding in good accessory work to make them feel the burn they're looking for, but also give them the muscle contraction that they need. So something like this is how I would maybe start off with a client. Maybe we do this first week, we do some goblet squats, some RDLs, some tricep pull downs, some incline push-ups, like on a Smith, so that I can regress it and make it easier to do at a higher level or lower if they're getting better at it, and I can track that and measure their success on that. Some rope curls, some assisted pull-ups, maybe some assisted chin-ups really. And that's how we run kind of her first day, That's how we run her first day. We get her, or first session, we get the body moving, we gauge out the recovery, and maybe it only lasts for 2 weeks. And then we start going much harder. We start doing some circuits, we start doing some supersets. Maybe I say, okay, 3 weeks from now, we're gonna go ahead and superset these two together, okay? So boom, hit it with a little bit of a superset, kind of color coordinate my superset, and say, all right, we're going to do goblet squats into RDLs. I would not normally do that type of superset, but just for the example, maybe that's how I'm doing it, or maybe I'm doing some push-ups. So maybe I'm doing some push-ups, some incline push-ups into some rope curls, and maybe back into a plank or something like that, right? And so I've got those three, and maybe I'm going to do a quick circuit like that, change the color of it, and boom, that's kind of what we're going to do as we improve or we increase over a few weeks' time as we're building towards that hit. So that's just a general example of how you can train or program a basic client that you're just getting used to. And I really want to demystify, because I want to give you the confidence to know that it's not an overly complicated system. You've spent time studying the movement patterns. You've spent time studying your anatomy. You've spent time studying what's effective. So it's all already there. It's all in your head. It's just about putting it together in a way that fits the duration of the session and provides the most efficiency. And although providing the most efficiency is the hardest part, again, it's not a huge bar to hurdle when they haven't been working out at all or they've been pretty sedentary. In the event that you're training somebody who's already a very, very heightened, effective trainee, well, then that gets a little bit different and the efficiency changes at that point. But of course, if they're coming to you and they're paying you, they're trusting in your intuition, they're trusting in your expertise to provide them with the proper amount of work as well. And I'll tell some stories in the future about some of the clients that I've had to kind of give an example of, what that looks like when it's at peak versus brand new. Let's say we're looking at somebody who's like 60 years old, overweight, male, and maybe you can't train him in the same way that you train that mom. Maybe he can't get down on the ground very easily, can't get up, can't get down very easily. Definitely can't do things like shoulder taps, or a plank is just going to take them out. It's very, very difficult to do. And so maybe you have to start with something like an incline treadmill walk for like 10 minutes. And I'm usually very against putting my client on a treadmill because that's something they can do on their own. What kind of value is that, right? But you got to remember, if they're not doing it themselves, and it's important to get their heart rate up, it's important to do something that is low impact, that's going to provide them the proper sweat and the proper consistent heart rate, then it's up to you to do it. Even if it goes a little bit against what you want to do, sometimes it's important to do stuff like that. Maybe we would do like a bench squat to press, which you see I changed the color in here because maybe the bench squat to press is kind of more of a merge between like a red and a green, a squat and a press. So maybe we do like a bench squat to press with them. And we do something real simple like 3x10. We find them a bench that's high enough. Maybe you put a plate down. Maybe it's a decline bench. And we're not pressing any weight. We're just sitting down, standing up, putting our arms up. Just effective work. Just in repetition, effective work to help them get more acclimated to exercise, to help their body get into that burn state, bring the heart rate super high, and also get their legs moving, get their knees moving, get the body moving. Maybe after that, because they can't really stand for too long, or maybe, they can't really do any of the floor exercises, or it's not time to put them on a bench or anything, or for a dumbbell bench or a barbell bench. Maybe we just do some banded pull-aparts. Get a light band, do like 30 nice burn-in reps for those shoulders, burn-in reps for that chest, burn-in reps for those triceps, just doing those banded pull-aparts. Doing something that's effective for them, that's going to get them closer and closer to the goal, to get their muscles more insulin sensitive so that they can, lose the weight and continue to drop the weight. And maybe, for instance, they're on beta blockers or they're on some heart medication that makes it to where they can't necessarily train very heavy. And maybe if I program them in reverse, my goal is to just do one air squat, just a full depth air squat. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe it takes 4 to 5 months to get there, but that's the plan, is I want you to just be able to air squat comfortably, right? So it doesn't always have to be a plan of getting to hit, or it doesn't have to always be a plan of getting to barbell training or something like that. It can just be, hey, I need them to be able to squat, okay? Maybe we go into an overhead press, something really light, or if we can't do stuff like that, we do very simple things like a thumb to wall where they just put their hands over their head and touch the wall with their thumbs to get the shoulder activation going. As they advance, maybe you do some single arm kneeling dumbbell rows, maybe some incline machine press, but really, like I said, it's about meeting your client where they are and having the confidence to know that your job is to boost their heart rate, get them sweating, get their bodies moving, keep them injury-free, and help get them stronger as they're on their weight loss journey. And as you program to meet their needs, you're going to be able to do that. And let's say we go to a 30-year-old man who's just deconditioned. Now, I'm not going to change the ones in here, but let's say our goal for him is barbell training. Like truly, he's always wanted to do barbell bench press. He's always wanted to do the big three, maybe has dreams of joining the 1,000 club. And so maybe we can train him a little differently. Maybe we can train him with a more common core accessory kind of work. So maybe it's like let's say dumbbell flies, as our primary, and then maybe after our primary we go down and we do, curls, and then we do like some shoulder taps or something like that. Or we do like a pull up into a push up into some tricep extensions or something like that, right? This is how I might train that person who is deconditioned. We can throw them right into some circuit training. We can throw them right into some supersets. We can build up that muscle for them, at least get them started. And I mentioned maybe they want to join the 1,000 club. So maybe as we do that, after 4 months or less, 2 months, even a month, we start introducing that barbell training. We start with a barbell bench, and we start with a barbell squat, and we change the programming from there. Then we're no longer doing hypertrophic. We're not in that 8 to 12 rep range. We're in more of a 3 to 7, maybe 3 to 8 rep range, trying to build strength over a larger period of time to help them grow those numbers up. So the main takeaway here is that programming is going to be dependent on your client in a large way, and it's going to be dependent on how you follow the fundamentals. Be ready to adapt. Make sure that you're not overloading them too quickly. Don't underload your client either, but know that as long as you're providing them with effective movement pattern exercises and addressing their needs, they will see success. They will see success 99% of the time, and assuming that they're following nutrition and doing the things they need to do. This is important to know because so many trainers fail within the first year, and I think a lot of it has to do with the mystification of programming and the fear around programming. And I don't want you to spend all of this time worrying about how am I going to program the perfect 1% and how am I going to make them this and that, and then you get to that client, you get to your first client or your fifth client, and all of a sudden everything I think I need to do for them is something they can't even do, and now you're scrambling. If this video helped you at all, please subscribe, please like, all the YouTube stuff. Don't really like saying it, but I have to. If you want to use this sheet, you can head over to silverbulletfitness.me, click the resources tab at the top. That's going to take you to the download for it. Also, if you would like to take your training to the next level, you can book with me. We'll do a consultation over the phone, and I can try to help you improve your experience and your client's experience, help you get some more clients, and help you take your training to the next level.